Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really digging into a powerful personal story. It comes from a chapter called The Low Point and the Turning Point. It's a very candid look at hitting financial rock bottom, yeah? And how this one person managed to not just recover, but, well, completely redefine what success and even self-worth really mean.
Exactly. And this isn't just, a story about balancing the books. As we unpack this journey, you'll start to see these really universal themes pop up.
Themes like resilience?
Resilience, absolutely. Humility, too. And that quiet, almost invisible power of just consistent effort. It applies way beyond money. We're talking about that big shift, right? From chasing the quick win to carefully, methodically building something real, something foundational.
Okay, so let's set the scene first. The descent. Our source talks about a brash, confident young man, you know the type, believed he could basically outsmart the world.
Classic hubris.
And then it all comes crashing down. He's hit by this gnawing sense of failure, loses his sense of self-worth completely. What's really going on emotionally there, do you think? Especially with that detail about the constant heavy silence from his parents.
Oh, it's a total unraveling. I mean,
Yeah.
think about the contrast. He imagined himself becoming this visionary investor.
Right. Big dreams.
Huge dreams and reality. Low-paying, soul-crushing job, living in a small rented room. That feeling of being a fraud, it just eats away at you. And
Yeah.
the shame, the regret, pushing friends away, it all piles on. But that parental disappointment, the silence being more painful than any lecture, that speaks volumes. It's about the weight of expectation, maybe his own even more than theirs, and that deep internal conflict.
And this is where the story gets, well, really interesting. You'd expect maybe some big dramatic moment, right? A lightning bolt of insight.
You would, yeah.
But the clarity didn't come like that at all. It came from something almost mundane. He's just sitting on a park bench, watching an old man meticulously tending to a small garden. The source describes the simple beauty, the slow and deliberate movements. Critically, not chasing a quick result. It almost sounds too simple to be the turning point, doesn't it?
It does on the surface, but that's often where the profound stuff hides, in the simple things. So the question becomes, what was it about watching that gardener that sparked such a huge shift?
What was the realization?
The core idea, and it's so powerful, was this. Success wasn't a sudden, massive harvest. It wasn't a lottery win. It was, instead, the result of a long, patient season of weeding, watering, and tending.
Okay. Like compound interest, but for effort.
Exactly. And he finally got it. He connected that image directly to what his father maybe had been trying to tell him all along. The real power lies in consistent, quiet effort, not a sudden windfall. It wasn't about the flash, it was about the daily grind, the deliberate little actions.
Okay, so he has this profound insight watching the gardener. It clicks. What's the very first practical thing he does? Because, changing your mind is one thing, acting on it after hitting bottom, that's tough.
Well, the first step, and maybe the most important one, a genuine apology to his parents. No excuses, just owning it.
Wow. That must have been hard.
Incredibly hard, I imagine. But the result, according to the source, was this palpable relief, even pride, from his father, described as the greatest comfort. And if you think about the bigger picture, that's a huge shift, right? From ego protecting itself to real humility, accepting responsibility.
That makes sense. And then from that point, the practical rebuilding starts. He deliberately turns his back on the get-rich-quick guides and all those gurus.
Exactly. He ditches the shortcuts.
Good.
And instead, he goes back to the classics of personal finance.
The boring stuff.
The boring but essential stuff. Diligent saving, sensible budgeting, actual long-term investing. Not chasing the next hot tip.
Right. So it wasn't about trying to make a fortune overnight anymore. It was about that consistent, humble effort. Even if it started small, like just a few dollars a week, he committed to that small, steady savings plan. And crucially, started seeing money differently as a tool for security and growth, not the goal itself, not a means to an end.
And that's the real takeaway, the lesson that sticks. The source mentions there were still days of doubt and frustration. Of course there were.
Naturally.
But he kept coming back to that image, the lesson of the garden. He saw himself as a gardener now, tending to his financial life with patience and diligence. It just beautifully illustrates that true wealth, lasting wealth, isn't really built on luck or speed. It's built on that quiet, consistent discipline, learning from mistakes and just nurturing growth over time.
Yeah, this deep dive really powerfully shows how sometimes our true growth, our resilience, it doesn't just happen despite hitting rock bottom. It happens because of it, especially when we finally embrace that disciplined, patient, long-term view. So for you listening right now, here's something to think about. Where in your own life, maybe, are you chasing that sudden harvest? Where might what's actually needed be the quiet, consistent discipline of a gardener? What small, steady steps could you maybe start taking, even today, to cultivate and transform your own landscape, whether that's financial, personal, or maybe even professional?